sometimes it's easy to, if you're just waking up, you want to hide behind your camera, but it's nice to see faces instead of names. So if you're able to, we'd love to see your face. It helps me too get to know the hackers. If I'm going to be talking with you for the next few weeks, it's always good to see a face. All right, looks like the live stream is good to go. Again, if you want to turn on your video, you're more than welcome to. And we can start. So my name is Trent. I work with ETHGlobal, helping them run hackathons and doing some community management. This is our first hackathon of 2021, and we're super excited to be here with everybody, and especially the Ave team. We worked with them last year on a couple different hackathons, and we're really excited to be starting off 2021 again with them. Couldn't be a better partner for these kinds of events. So hopefully you're here for the Brainstorm session and you didn't click on an improper calendar event, but this event here today is what we're going to be doing is, going over just the general ideas that people have, how you can integrate Aave, and we're going to start off with intros from the Ave team, and then we'll move into a bit of a more open-ended Q&A session where if you have a specific question or an integration you think might be interesting, you can ask the Aave team that. But let's start off with some quick intros from the Aave team. Maybe just give your name, the type of work you do with Aave, and yeah, let's just start with that. David, why don't you start?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, so I'm David. You've probably seen me around. I generally do a lot of, I guess, developer ecosystem type things and community stuff. I'm also a general developer and builder as well in Aave. So that's me. I was asked to unmute the other team members. Maybe Stani, yeah, you can go next, or whoever.
Stani here. So the CEO at Aave, working quite a lot on the product side and also on the bunch of other more boring stuff on the back office, and building and in kind of the DeFi space quite early, 2017, and yeah, that's the most of the stuff. And I love to brainstorm previous hackathons as well, trying to participate in your ideas. So I think important is that if you have something in mind, feel free to share. It's open place to kind of like get thoughts out and just get them further.
Yeah. Well, from my side, I'm Ernesto. I'm one of the core developers of the protocol in Aave, but also like participating a lot in product itself. So yeah, if you need anything, some people already contact me in Discord and through the common chats we have about Aave. But yeah, feel free to ask about anything you want.
Hey everyone, I'm Jordan. I'm the CEO of Aave. Been building DeFi for 4 years now, and very available if you need like brainstorming, like everything, especially everything related to governance. Would be interesting to brainstorm with you and help, or even like other things like NFT, and then the general products related to Aave, like anything like open to brainstorm with you, and actually quite excited to see what you're going to build.
Awesome. Is that everybody?
Just Emilio.
Yeah, there is me as well.
Oh,
hey
sorry.
Guys, I'm another core developer. Like Ernesto said, more or less, we were involved in the development of the protocol. We are also involved in the development of other tools and functionalities that are related to the protocol or built on top. So if you guys have any idea or request, or you need help or support, build whatever you have in mind, just ask us and we will try to provide the best support that we can.
We also have David K here as well. I don't know if David, you want to say hello, a quick hello. If he's got his microphone. If not, that's fine as well. We can move on.
Yeah, maybe we'll loop back and see if we can get him. Okay, awesome. This is great to have so many core team members here to help brainstorm. And like I said, we're going to start off with those intros, which you just did. For anybody joining, that was the first part. And now we're going to move into a few higher level questions. We'll talk with the Aave team. And then afterwards, if you have a specific question or an idea that you're thinking about, then we'll have time for that as the second part of this. So let me just pull up those questions we had talked about. Let's start with a pretty big, a really high level question. So we had DeFi summer. Well, it's summer for people in the Northern Hemisphere, but DeFi summer 6 months ago, with this really insane explosion. And then that kind of, it had its own crash, and then it switched to NFTs, and then NFTs plus DeFi. And now we're moving into what's the latest thing? Algorithmic stablecoins. So there's these trends that come up cyclically. As from your position in the space as one of the bigger projects, what is the Aave team seeing in terms of trends that you think are interesting? Let's start there. And we'll go in the same order. David, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so from my perspective, because I'm more like, I guess, consumer facing with the community. So what I've been seeing lately is a lot of like the core, I guess, base foundation is pretty good these days with protocols like Aave. So we're seeing a lot of developers build on top of these protocols. So there's a lot of composability in DeFi space at the moment. So using Aave with various other protocols, we're seeing a lot of that. Maybe example is Aave or DeFi Save or for a combo. Those sort of guys are combining multiple protocols into their product. So I'm seeing a lot of that.
Great, Stani. And if you don't have an answer for any of these, feel free to just pass. But we can just go through the list. Stani, what you want to give your thoughts here?
So what will be the next thing, you mean?
Sure, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's the question everybody wants to ask. What's the next big thing?
Yeah, I think it's something that we as a team always try to think a bit, actually quite a lot. And I to some extent, it's also like a question is that when you choose to build something that removes inefficiency and brings a lot of value to the ecosystem, it's also always kind of a bit question of timing, like how quickly you can get it into the market, but also secure fashion that you don't compromise the very important elements and risk people funds when it comes to DeFi products. And we do think kind of this, and sometimes you might have a very nice idea in a product, but you might be a bit too early in the ecosystem with that particular offering. And it's not a bad thing, because you always have the chance to iterate and make things the products better. And I think if you look at Aave as an example, it's not something that we created overnight. It's practically a few years of development and iteration. What was the first version, for example, the very first lending protocol, ETHLend, and making it a bit more efficient. And as the ecosystem grows and the narrative changes, what's exciting at the moment, that it really follows the path. And once you add some feature, it's very hard to tell like what is the how it will be used. For example, adding flash loans, we couldn't probably see always like that what kind of use cases there could be. And over the time, as the feature was live, different developers, including previous hackathons, we saw like a lot of interesting use cases, and they became actually products. So there's probably 2 billion worth of flash loans used from Aave last year, and all of let's say most of them are used for example, to rebalance different positions in DeFi and arbitrage. So practically bringing a lot of efficiency for the users. I personally am betting quite a lot on the credit delegation functionality. So what's very cool about the version 2 of Aave is that there's sort of functionality that you can do on behalf of other addresses, other users, practically other accounts. So what you can actually do is that you can deposit into Aave, and then delegate your credit to someone else that actually draws the credit. So you have the collateral inside, and then you form a trust relationship with that third party. Now, what's interesting here is that this is something that you can delegate to a contract, to some specific pooling contract that does some functionality in DeFi. It could have actually even wider application, driving liquidity from DeFi to some other purposes, having some sort of credit scoring there, and having actually utility for the traditional financing and pool liquidity. So that's kind of like layer there. I think there's a lot of opportunities when it comes to scoring and how this credit could be drawn. I think that's something that might we might see some interesting hacks and also developments during this year. Well, let's not say this year, but at least like the next month.
Sure. Yeah. Hedge that. Soon. Anybody else from the Aave team want to take a hit at this?
Yeah, I would like to add also that Stani was centering quite a lot in the part of the lending protocol itself, but I think that is something really interesting is the governance part. Like during the last year, there was late 2019, there was a big trend on DAOs and governance systems. Then it went a bit like, let's say, fade out or something by all this yield farming and so on this last year. But I think it's going to come back because, like, essentially is one of the most interesting fields in blockchain and one of the original ones in Ethereum that like DAOs, coordination of like social coordination. So in the case of Aave, for example, that we introduce now the stable version of the governance, I think like there are like really good opportunities to even innovate at base layer of governance systems with new models and build on top of Aave or not. So yeah, I think that it's going to come back once like the grid ends a bit in terms of farming and so on.
To add on what Ernesto was saying, like just to give example of what innovation on top of governance can look like, it can be analytics, watching like the which address votes, what are one address that votes. Like something that could be interesting is actually when one address votes, like seeing the exposure it adds to other protocol, like to other, if it participates in other governance, like just being able to make like this governance graph, like we always talk about social graph, but governance graph, like seeing the relationship between votes in different protocol. Then there is like everything related to analytics, but also UI for in the Aave governance, you can delegate both your voting power, which makes you like kind of politician of the protocol, and your proposition power, which is like Stani say, like the lawmakers, the devs that can make actually technical proposal. So like those two power are separated, and basically interaction, like social interaction with like social media, ways to have like a social interaction with the delegation of the proposition power is something that is also very interesting. I guess like there is like a lot. And just to have like a general answer to the original question, I think 2020 was just like the start. Like now we have base layer protocol, like Aave, Uniswap, SushiSwap, all the balancer, all the MMs with different flavors. And I think now those basically 2020 edition of DeFi are consolidated, and we can start building on top like more robust product that use those building blocks. Like this is how you should see like those DeFi. We always talk about Legos. They are like building block. We see now protocol like the yield protocol building like fixed rate lending. Like you cannot build something like that if you don't have this like basically money market underneath. So like there is so many stuff to build. Like you just look at the financial industry, the banking industry, and you say, okay, I need, for example, like if you think about flash loan, like flash loan in itself is a cool innovation, but you need like a lot of liquidity to make flash loan interesting. Like you need a protocol, you need an AMM or money market with a lot of liquidity. Then you can borrow like 1 billion in one transaction. So like there is a lot of those like upper layer innovation that I expect to see now that basically the base layer of the building blocks are like consolidated.
Awesome. Anybody else from Aave?
Well, I think that more or less everything was said already. One cool thing that we could add, for example, we could think about the governance is the proposals that essentially can execute themselves by gather proposition power, so that people could, for example, delegate proposition power to smart contracts, so that what happens is that the smart contract will be able to automatically create the proposal once it gathers enough proposition power, so that anybody essentially can create a smart contract that will be able to propose to the Aave governance, which is something that is for sure very, very cool. So yeah, there is a lot like on the plate, I think, and I'm personally very excited to see what the builder of this will come up with.
Definitely. I see we have Mark who just joined. Mark, do you want to say
Yep.
hi and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Mark. I'm in the integration team. And one of the things I want to add is that the Aave Protocol V2 is a playground, and feel free to play around with the new features and especially to combine them. So you have the flash loan, you have the credit delegation. So like some user feedback we had like very, very recently on the social media was, how do I transfer my wallet position from one address to another address for, I don't know, privacy purpose or wallet management purpose, to switch my position to a cold wallet? And it's not something that complex to build with a flash loan, but right now it doesn't exist. There's no feature that allow you that to do that easily with one click on a UX to do it. And that's specifically the kind of small but smart thing that anybody with a bit of technical skill can build inside the hackathon. And we will do a blog post that we probably will publish tomorrow that will give you small ideas that you can build fast that way, that will just make everybody using Aave life a little bit easier. And don't be afraid if you cannot build like huge pyramids of codes and very, very fancy things. There's a lot of small things you can build at any skill level.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. But before that, just something to make sure everybody's staying engaged. If you have your video on, I'm going to pick one of the hackers by random and just give us a quick 1-sentence intro to yourself. So I'll give 1 second for you to turn on or off your video, depending if you want to talk right now. And then I will pick one person. Why don't we have Marcelo Barduz? Give us just just a 1-sentence.
So
tell us about yourself. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm Marcello, and honestly, I'm looking for inspiration what to do. I have an idea, but it might be quite complicated to implement. So basically, I want to build a smart contract wallet, which should replicate all the transactions done by a different address. And yeah, it should be something like a politician, but instead of choosing an address which you will give him power, you will do basically the same. So
okay,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get to.
If anybody wants to join this idea, I'm open. Just DM me. That would be cool.
Yeah, we'll get to the specific proposals a little bit later, but let's move on to the next question for the Aave team. So we have actually a really huge range of hackers who have staked to build something over the next few weeks. And that's a great thing. We really enjoy seeing, people who are just learning Solidity to really experienced teams. But for us on the support end and for the Aave team, that means that there are going to be people with a pretty wide range of experience levels coming into this and trying to get exposure to your docs and learning how to build something. Let's say if you were a complete beginner, let's do 3 levels, looking for the response for if you were a complete beginner, so you're just learning Solidity, you're intermediate, you've done some, you've done all the tutorials, you've started to build things. And then the third type of developer would be like, you've deployed something to mainnet, it's integrated with some financial protocols. How would you approach this hackathon? Let's get one for each of those levels from somebody on the Aave team. And whoever wants to start, just unmute themselves and go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I think I can start. So I think if I was a beginner, I think the easiest is obviously, depositing and borrowing using those features. But also you could extend it by using credit delegation because it's pretty similar, right? And they're pretty easy to learn from a developer perspective. As an intermediate developer, think something like batch flash loans or the governance features like delegation and things like that that have already been talked about. And then on the advanced side, you could also do some interesting with all of those as well. But specifically, and I know Stani loves this, would love for someone to look into L2 or zero knowledge type stuff. And that's probably for the really advanced devs. So that's what I think. Stani?
Yeah, I would say like I think I think all the others have more this from developers perspective, but I think it really depends on the comfort level. I definitely like in a hackathon there's good amount of time, so I would not panic too much, and maybe might be a good place to challenge a bit yourself and try something new and cool. And I mean, at the end of the day, if it doesn't play out well, I mean, you can have a contingency plan. But what I'm trying to say is that it's kind of, there's no stress in the time period. It's long enough that you can achieve pretty interesting things. So it's a good place to challenge kind of your skills and try something very cool, and maybe something that normally you won't do. But I think that will be. And if you're really like kind of like been doing this and being very deep in Ethereum, maybe those something like ZK might be a fascinating place to dig deeper. But referring what Ernesto said about, for example, governance, indeed, it's one of the basic ideas, and some of these basic ideas, there's big issues to be solved in a very large scale. So pick your battle.
Yeah, I'll add to that. Stani is basically saying, just to recap, like, don't be afraid to push your limits. If you're afraid of, pick something that's maybe a little bit bigger than your skill set, and that will hopefully force you to, expand beyond what you're comfortable doing. And then, like, to balance that out, do realize that if you are, planning something really, really ambitious, sometimes you can bite off more than you can chew. So be aware that, like, you should probably settle on an idea within the first week of the hackathon. So we'll be having an idea feedback session this week around this time on Thursday. And by that point, I think it's probably fair to say you should have your idea relatively solid and have a good idea of where the direction you're taking it. But don't be afraid to be ambitious, but recognize that 3 weeks, depending on how much time you're dedicating to this, if you're only working on it on the weekends or a few nights per week, it can be a challenge to do something really huge. But yeah, definitely ambition is a good thing. Anybody else from the Aave team wanna take a stab at this? The question was the different levels of development. How would you attack it if you were a hacker?
I would like to add also, like in the line of Mark, that he mentioned something like that. There is a lot of times there are a lot of profiles of developers in DeFi, that is people that is using DeFi, so is used to interact with platforms, to use tokens and so on, and they want to start like developing something. So I would suggest that a lot of times it happens that you are using certain product and you notice that you will appreciate to build a small tool maybe to make things more optimal for the interaction. Usually those implementations are not so complicated, but are terribly useful. So what looks really small sometimes is like way more used than like a complex protocol with a crazy big architecture and way more successful. So sometimes it's not about complexity. It's about like simplicity.
Yeah, you can make something really beautiful with just a very simple idea, and it's very effective sometimes.
Yeah, I wanted to add that for the more experienced developers and teams, like one possibility could even be to add core functionalities to the core protocol. For example, if they think something can be improved or new functionalities can be added, for example, I don't know, minting of synthetic assets, for example, starting from the Aave protocol, or gas optimizations, or other functionalities that someone could come up with by looking at the code. That is something that is for sure very, very useful and appreciated. Aave protocol is open source, so anybody can contribute. And like if something is added to the core protocol that is very useful, it can become a proposal for the governance to be added to the actual protocol in mainnet. So for the most experienced developers, keep in mind that expanding the core protocol is also an option if you have ideas on how to expand it or how to improve it, for sure.
Anybody else from the Aave team?
Not on my side. I think everything was.
I can add in the simple stuff that Ernesto said. Like I have a good example. Like one community member, Oxport, did an app of a day to calculate the L factor of position and to have liquidation price. And at the end of the day, it's just a little touch of front end, very basic stuff, and a bit of math. And if you have like zero solidity skill, you can produce that, and it's super useful, and it will find some use case in the community.
For sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So for anybody who has hacked with ETHGlobal before, you might notice that in previous hackathons, these brainstorming sessions were, not sponsors, but this event is specifically centered on Aave. So Aave is our close partner for this, and we are focusing on getting them, we're encouraging people to build on Aave and really explore the protocol. And to that end, we have put together some incentives to get people building on them. So anybody who integrates Aave will receive 100 AUSDC. Is it AUSDC or AUSD? Let me double check that.
I think it's AUSDC.
Yeah. So yeah, we're not gonna. Nobody's obligated to build on Aave, but like I said, this is an Aave-centric hackathon, and we want to see, everybody putting their creative ideas out there and as to what they can build or integrate with the protocol, and that's one of the incentives. So again, 100 AUSDC for any team who builds or integrates with Aave.
And let's not forget that there's also Aave socks that So this is these are mine. So you will get your own, but that's
somebody would probably buy your socks, Donnie. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a little weird, but whatever goes.
Watch them, Stanley.
Yeah, maybe
you'll get a fresh one.
Yeah, we'll give that to some of the
finalists.
Okay. Let's see. Let me just see if we had any other questions. Does somebody want to give a quick overview of what V2 actually does? What Aave V2, how it's different? Maybe somebody had some experience previously with Aave and they're just coming back. Do you want to give a quick overview of what V2 does?
Maybe each of us can go over like maybe one feature
Sure.
that excites us about V2, just quickly. Probably the one that I'm most excited about, I'd say like maybe credit delegation. So that separates the native credit delegation. So previously in V1 we had credit delegation vaults, but now basically all the deposit and borrow functions you can do it on the borrow functions you can do it on behalf of someone else. So that means that the person that deposits into the protocol doesn't necessarily have to borrow money, but they can delegate that credit to someone else, and that someone else can make use of that borrowed money. And whether it's an off-chain agreement or on-chain agreement, they can enforce repayment of that loan in whatever way they want. So people have already talked to me about some really interesting use cases, and I think that opens up the design space a lot. So that's a pretty cool area.
Yeah, I think it's important to complete what David was saying, is that the credit delegation can be done to a smart contract. So it doesn't need to be like a credit delegation to an address or like an entity. It can be credit delegation to a protocol. So that's something to keep in mind. And I will just like continue with a feature of V2. Something that is like very interesting for me is the collateral swaps. So the idea to swap your collateral. Let's say that you are using like ETH or Aave as collateral for your borrow position, and then you can swap ETH to Link, let's say, and then be long Link instead of being long ETH. You can basically trade your collateral, and there is a lot of things to build around the trading of collateral as well. It's an interesting area.
Anyone else from Aave? So let's see. The features were credit delegation. What were the other ones?
Collateral.
So we've got quite
another thing that is for sure very exciting and is worth investigating and maybe building on top is the flash loan version 2. Because compared to the initial version of flash loans of V1, there are multiple capabilities that can be used to create interesting projects or protocols on top. One of these, for example, is the intrinsic leverage capabilities that the flash loan version 2 have, because essentially you can take the money in advance and not repaying the flash loan like you were doing in flash loan version 1. This is for anyone who has confidence with how the flash loan work, but you can actually deposit some collateral in the same transaction and eventually not repay the flash loan but open a borrow position, which essentially brings automatic leverage capabilities. So you can flash borrow in advance, use that amount borrowed to buy some kind of other asset, deposit within the same transaction in the protocol, and open a loan at the end, which means that you can automatically create a leverage position. So this is something that is for sure very, very cool and interesting.
Definitely.
There's just another thing on that, because there's some questions on Twitter about that. So what Emilio's highlighting is that the normal flash loans is that you get the money first and then you pay it back by the end of the transaction. With the let's say debt incurring flash loans, it's like you get the flash loan first, and then you can choose to deposit the collateral into the protocol after the fact, so you can incur debt later on. So it's sort of like the reverse of a normal loan where you would have to deposit collateral first and then you get a loan. So yeah, it enables margin trading type facilities, but then also a lot of other things. Does Ernesto or Stani, do you want to talk about, or Mark, about governance features or any other V2 features that excite you?
Yeah, I mean, in the governance, I think it was already mentioned before that one of the biggest difference, there are like two big differences with other system of governance out there. And one is that like it was designed in mind that there are like two different entities participating in governance, like in terms of delegation. So there are like the people that is voting, that is receiving delegation power, and then there is like the people that is actually creating the proposals and proposing to the governance. So we have this difference between proposition power and voting power, and I think there can be good ideas to build something from there. And the other big difference with the governance is that how it gets executed, the proposal itself. We have like, this is a bit more technical, but we have two different ways. One is just if you have more knowledge of Solidity, like writing a smart contract, and the other is composing the proposal of chain. But there are also some interesting possibilities there. It's needed to check a bit more documentation or check with us, but yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention is that the debt tokenization is also kind of interesting in the sense that when you borrow from the protocol, you basically get debt tokenized position. Those tokens are not transferable, but there might be some interesting things that you could do related to the debt tokens and how to use it, maybe even more than just kind of like accounting and integrations instrument. So might make sense to take a look at those and kind of like look what could be done.
Yeah, on that, some people have thought about, so on the protocol level, the debt tokens at the moment aren't transferable, but there's a possibility that someone might be able to create some derivatives of debt tokens. So that could be rather interesting as well. Mark, is there anything that you wanted to add?
Not on this topic.
All right, cool. Maybe the last feature I'll add is we also have staking Aave. So as you hopefully know, Aave, the token, has staking capabilities. So you can also create things like that where, you know, yeah, so I mean, you can have a look at the docs, but, you know, you can stake Aave in our safety module, then you'll earn interest on that. And then also, as Ernesto mentioned, with the voting and governance, it's not just on the protocol level of like using governance and helping people vote, but also we have voting delegation features as well, or even just analytics around voting, because the V2 voting is quite new. So we only have our governance interface, but would love to see more projects or interfaces around voting governance, you know, how to, like, if I want to delegate, or if I want people to delegate voting power to me, you know, at the moment they can do that on Twitter, or they can, you know, go do it through our platform, but it'll be awesome to have that, you know, more widely out there in the ecosystem as well.
Definitely. Does that cover everything you wanted to cover, David?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Thorough. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Perfect. All right, that was all the questions I had. Was there anything before we move into sort of more open session? Was there anything else you guys wanted to cover related to the Aave protocol or integrations that I haven't asked about? If not, just give me a thumbs up and we can move on. All right, cool. I see 2 thumbs. That's all I need. So this next part is going to be a little bit more participatory. So if you are a hacker and you have an idea, please use the raise hand function in Zoom. I'm not sure I have the same interface as a host, but it's somewhere on the bottom, I believe. But just raise your hand in the Zoom interface, and then I'll just call on people. What I'll ask is that you just give a very, very quick intro, your name, and then try to keep it short enough that you can describe what you're interested in building, but not too short that we have no idea what you're trying to build. So the first person I see is Jack. So Jack, why don't you unmute and, you know, tell us a little bit about what you're thinking of building, and then the Ave team will hopefully have some feedback for you.
Awesome. Hey guys, let me know if you can't hear me. I just want to say it's awesome to be able to bounce this idea off of the entire Ave team that's here. So thanks for being on this call and for listening to me. So basically, what we want to do is build a new type of smart contract insurance platform. We think one of the biggest hurdles in DeFi is all the hacks that have been happening, and basically we need to be able to keep the average user's value safe. So the way we're thinking about it is there's three parties. There's the projects that we're going to sell the insurance to. We're going to sell it to them basically wholesale. They're going to pay a small fee. It's going to cover all of their total value locked, or whatever they want to have covered, we'll just cover it. Then there's going to be stakers on the other side. They put up the capital for the insurance, and they're basically going to get one of the highest yields in all of DeFi. And we can talk about how we want to sort of integrate that with Aave and maybe deposit that capital onto Aave. And then internally, we're going to have an audit team, which basically one of the biggest issues with insurance right now in DeFi is the pricing is all out of whack. Everything's too expensive. And so our team is basically going to be incentivized to go through every project smart contracts and price the risk accurately for our stakers. And in the White Hat hacker panel that happened yesterday, basically they were talking about how the auditors and the projects are not vertically integrated. Like you pay an auditor, they go through it, and they don't really look at the project again sometimes. And we think this is a way where we can have that team, that audit team, sort of work with projects over a longer term basis and try to keep them safe. So happy to talk about this in more detail. There's a ton of stuff in a smart contract insurance platform, but we want to integrate it with Aave, and yeah, love to hear you guys' feedback.
Yeah, whoever has some thoughts on that, just go right ahead, unmute.
Yeah, whoever wants to. I think maybe like Stanley, Jordan, or Mark probably best positioned. Probably know the ecosystem the best.
I think it's on that. You're very right. Like you going like one of the issue in the whole security and insurance space, like in DeFi. I think it's like based on your pitch, it sounds like a very interesting project. If I can give like some idea as well, like one of the thing that could be interesting is find a way to integrate what you are building with even like the governance flow, because sometimes like there is a team that will make a proposal, governance proposal, and the proposal contains like payload, and that team that build like the proposition for the protocol might want to take insurance with your project to say, okay, actually like basically the payload will never have like much change that will be like bring security issue in the protocol, but that could be like something that is part. I think there is like no product at all. Like there is not many insurance products, but there is absolutely no product that look at the governance activity even. So like, yeah, this is just something on top of my head based on what you just said. Could be interesting to check.
So you're talking about ensuring like new proposal changes or ensuring a new proposal sort of? Yeah.
So for example, like a team that make a proposal to governance, like that proposal contain code, and just like having a way that when that team comes with the proposal could say, okay, we have also the backing of Sanford Insurance, and I don't know what we will name, but
yeah. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, but good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing I can mention something is that the safety module staking at Aave is some sort of kind of like a risk transfer, and one of the interesting things is that if there is some sort of like a reinsurance or like further risk transfers or chopping up the different risk in buckets, tranches, those are kind of like interesting topics. Tying the insurance with governance is quite fascinating. I really think that could be a game changer actually.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time looking at the safety module, and I read some of your comments about the risk tranching and having like mezzanine and junior and that sort of thing. That seems like a really cool idea. and the reinsurance part as well. Like, who's going to insure the safety module stake on Aave? You know, like, you guys can't insure everything of yourselves, so maybe you need something at some point, or reinsurance in case, you know, there's excess loss. So we think there's something to do here.
Great. Any other Aave team members want to get some feedback for that? If not, thanks, Jack. Cool idea. I'm looking forward to see it get
Thanks so
fleshed
much,
out.
guys. Appreciate it.
Next up, we had VB. I don't think it's Vitalik, but I'm happy to hear their idea regardless. You're muted.
Hey, yeah. Hey everyone. So it's VB Streets, and I mostly work on the front-end side of things in the crypto space. So one of the hurdles right now I'm facing is as a front-end dev, when I'm writing integration tests for front ends, I'm having to deal with multiple wallets. So we have MetaMask, Wallet Connect, etc. So my idea will be in the tooling category, where I'm hoping to build a cross Web3 wallets testing framework. So yeah, it will be like a set of utilities that allow one to write tests once, and then they'll be able to run against various wallets. Yeah, and as a demo, I'm hoping to write integration tests against the Aave front-end app. So yeah, I'm not sure if that qualifies as an Aave integration. Yeah, but I'm also curious to know if the current Aave front-end app, I don't know if you have written tests to validate the front-end app. Yeah, and because I don't think it's open source, so I couldn't check that.
I think definitely is really useful. Like, usually, as you probably know, like in this kind of hackathons, people tend to work more in economic parts and so on. But precisely what you are mentioning is like a really weak point right now on development, even for us. Like, for us, it's really difficult right now. We have like, as you probably saw, there are like 10 wallets or something like that. Some are using Wallet Connect, the others are native on the browser, the other is Ledger, the other, and you know, it's a lot of troubles for users, for example, like specifically Ledger and so on. So I think it will be like really good, and for sure we are gonna support you gladly. At the end, if you don't have the tooling, it's impossible to build like the mature products, and sadly, like in this ecosystem, it's still not the highest priority. So yeah, go for it. About right now we don't have on GitHub our client, but we can work on that to make you like give you access or however we do, but for sure we will support it.
Cool.
Yes, an excellent idea. So reach out to us directly, and we can see what we can do with the front end client code. Yeah, we get a lot of support issues with various wallets. So yeah, definitely would want to see you build something like that. Trent, you're muted.
Classic. Anybody else from the Aave team want to give feedback on that? Or yeah, definitely. I mean, like it was said, sometimes people tend to focus on like a flashier financial integration, but tooling is really crucial. And actually, we've had finalists from previous hackathons who just build like a VS Code integration or some sort of tooling that's really useful, but hasn't been built yet. So definitely a good idea. I believe we have Samuel up next.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry, I'm muted you. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly, please? Hello.
Yes.
Okay. I was actually thinking, why can't we kind of use? I was thinking of using DeFi for insurance in terms of real world examples. Like example, trying to put DeFi in terms of health. like the pandemic, like I don't know, like this kind of pandemic that is going on right now around the world, people actually need to like kind of ensure their health, like using like kind of building. I was thinking of building something related to that, but I'm still trying to see how I'm going to figure that out, like using medical insurance, kind of. I don't know if it's, do you think it's something possible, but it's an idea that's been ringing through my head. I'm thinking of how to implement it.
Sure. Yeah, I think the one tough thing with health records and health data is there's a lot of regulations surrounding how you handle that data. So if you're doing any sort of mainnet Ethereum integration with health records, it would be a pretty big challenge to actually do that properly and without breaking the law. I'd be curious what other people have to say. If I know people come from a lot of different backgrounds, and if you have some healthcare experience, but that's my basic knowledge. So it might be a challenge to do something related to insurance on chain without using something like this, zero knowledge proofs, to obfuscate the data or disconnect it from accounts.
You do have to use anonymous identifiers, and any private health information in most like first world jurisdictions can't go on chain.
Yeah.
I think like if I can add, there is like two things that I can think of. Like basically one of the issue in insurance is getting the liquidity to ensure like getting the capital. So this is, for example, the way I see the case for the credit delegation. You could have like some smart contract that gets credit delegated liquidity for the insurance, but then you definitely need a part that is like off chain, basically to bridge the real world and not like necessarily bringing like else data on chain, but managing like basically as if you were building else insurance company, but that's your capital comes from DeFi in the background. I think that's the easiest way.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and to add to that, I definitely that's an interesting point, because if you get this streamlined liquidity, you can stream your liquidity with credit delegation. It practically gives competitive advantage to new kind of innovation in the financial technology space. Practically the front end business models, insurances and whatnot, because you can start up some sort of a product, insurance product, and get liquidity from DeFi if you get the credit delegations and DeFi industry excited. And regarding the data, it doesn't, I mean, it's all about kind of like risk, right? So I guess like when you go to the personal level, health data and so forth, it's a bit challenging. But I mean, there's quite accurate, applications and software where you can track how, for example, some virus is spread, let's say, how COVID is spread into a particular area, and then increase and decrease the pricing of the insurance. So let's say if you will be in Finland, and because the COVID hasn't spread that much here, the pricing might be cheaper. But when the person goes to UK, the pricing changes because if you are in an area where there's a lot of cases and so forth, so it could be quite interesting. But also, like as an insurance is pretty much derivatives and as a financial instrument. So you could create derivatives to pretty much anything. I could imagine one industry, particularly, let's say you have rockets, right? You ship rockets to space, launch rockets to space, and in each rocket, let's say Falcon X is going up, there is quite a lot of different other companies there. They have their nano satellites, various components, and they cost millions, at least hundreds of thousands, just the product, but all the research and development involved and getting that thing up. And those are kind of the very high risky industries that, I don't know where they get their insurances, but it could be interesting where you will have a market to something like that. I mean, if they go to orbit, and same for, let's say, in health, this using kind of like health in a more less personal way. But I could, for example, imagine the health thing, that if you're in an area where there is a lot of kind of like accidents, then the insurance cost is it's different, and then you can price it with oracles, and then get the liquidity from credit delegation, and kind of combine these different not just like money Legos, but layers. Like one thing I think what's cool is that you can combine layers, that you have the DeFi layer, you have something in between the bridging, and then the traditional finance layer, let's say an insurance, and going to the mainstream. So this layering up is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how ambitious you're feeling, because it sounds like this would be a pretty big project, especially for a few-week hackathon. And if maybe you do or do not have experience with like oracles, but it seems pretty big. The idea itself, like I guarantee that there will be on-chain health insurance in some capacity in the next 5 years or something, maybe sooner. But for a hackathon, this seems like a big problem. And maybe there's a way to, break it down into some smaller component where you're sketching out the idea for it, but you're not necessarily building the entire thing. Ideally, we have you building something as a submission, but yeah, maybe write up your ideas and try to get some more feedback on that. How big you want to make the scope for this 3-week hackathon.
I'll also just like to.
You muted, David. Uh-oh. I think his headphones have pulled out.
No, we can't. Yeah.
Hang on. One sec.
Right.
There you go.
I got locked out somehow. Not sure what happened. Maybe my
Yeah,
headphones,
you were just talking and couldn't hear you.
Okay, you're back. You're back.
Yeah, start over.
Not right.
Damn it. Hold on. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think my Bluetooth dropped out. But anyway, yeah. So it was about fare evaders. So what this hackathon project did pretty well actually was that they would everyone would pay a subscription fee each week. Let's say the fare cost was like, I don't know, $10 a week, but the subscription fee might be $2 a week. And they tried to get hundreds or thousands of people paying $2 a week. And then anytime someone would get caught by these fare authorities on the tram, then you'd get the fine ticket. Then that would be your proof that you got fined. And then they would just pay that fine for you from that pool of money. So that was like a form of insurance, and it was sort of outside the system. So I'd put out there that, health insurance doesn't, I mean, excluding America, because health insurance is like really expensive there. But if you cap like the health insurance amount, so like, maybe a few $1,000s, a model like that where someone like is streaming a certain amount of money, or like as Stani and Jordan mentioned, credit delegating, like incurring a small debt each week, then it goes into a pool of funds. And then, if you can somehow work out, probably add some game theory around, having someone verify that, yeah, you had a health bill that was, $10,000, and you've been paying this subscription fee for X amount of time, maybe you get access to that. That's just an idea.
What hackathon was that?
It was Startup Weekend in Melbourne a long time ago.
Yeah, I like that idea.
It was a good idea, and actually we had, but they got a cease and desist from the Metropolitan Transportation Authority to not continue.
I can't imagine why.
Exactly, but you could do that in DeFi now. Back then, it was pre.
Oh,
this
was before DeFi, like you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, even better. You could do it on chain. All right, thank you, Samuel. I think we're gonna move on to the next person. But I look forward to seeing how you attack this problem and its scope. Let's see. The next I have on the list is Giles or Gies.
Yes, Gilles. Hi, everybody. So yeah, my name is Gilles. I'm living in Israel, but I come from France. So the idea of our idea, we are now a team of 4 people, and the idea is to make a swap platform, but for multiple tokens at a time. And let me tell you the use case, typical use case. So typical use case for a user that doesn't know too much the DeFi market and doesn't have a too high budget. So we will enable to make a swap of up to 5 tokens based on pre-selected list, inspired from DeFi Pulse, for example, like top 5 DEXs, top 5 derivatives, top 5 lending platforms, and he will be able to buy for, let's say, $1,000, $500, all of these at a time and in the same transaction. So here is the technology part. Like he will buy all the 5 tokens at a time. We want to simplify the usage for, I would say, newbie people. So I was wondering, I mean, all in all, it doesn't, I'm trying to find, I mean, this is the concept, and I'm trying to find a way to connect Aave functionality somehow. If you have ideas, guys, I would be happy to hear. I heard, maybe I didn't understand well, but a leverage effect. This could be something also that we could do, like in the swap, we could multiply by 10x the amount, take a loan, and maybe have a preferable rate. I don't know if it's possible, if it's fine to do that. Just maybe something I understood or understood wrong. In any case, this is the concept. Make it very simple: predefined list of tokens, of successful tokens, bought in one single transaction, and with the reverse operation, of course, making it possible to buy back all the 5 tokens to the basic currency, which can be USDC or DAI. So I'd be happy to hear if you have comments on this idea or suggestion on how maybe we can integrate Aave somehow in this application.
So would this be like an index that somebody can buy and sell into?
Yeah, some kind of index, yeah.
Okay.
I guess it could be an index or even taking the actual underlying. So I think it's a pretty good idea. I'm thinking someone like my brothers who aren't that technical, but they want to hold some DeFi or get in the space. You know, an easy way for them to click one button and purchase a bunch of tokens. That would be cool. One way to easily implement Aave is just also to include in that one button click would be depositing in Aave. So you know, buy this, 5 tokens, blue chip tokens, and automatically deposit them in Aave. Then of course, like Emilio mentioned before, you could have the auto leverage if they wanted to take on more risk using flash loans, and then so you can extend their position. So yeah, there's a few ways I think you could integrate Aave quite easily.
Okay, there could be also another usage. I mean, being able to swap 2 to 5 tokens at a time in the same transaction. I mean, the cost of transaction is so high these times, and I don't know if it's going to last, but at least for a few weeks or a few months, we would see times with 500 grays, maybe 400. So it's very expensive. So the fact that you can swap multiple tokens at a time can have also an advantage, not only for beginners. I mean, this is a quite simple application, but then also we can also enhance that with multiple currencies at a time. So maybe somehow have a, I mean, yes, I don't know if it makes sense to use Aave in this scope. I don't know.
I think one of the suggestions is that, like you said, for right now the biggest problem is the gas cost. The thing is that even if you batch together, like the buying of 5 tokens, and you connect, let's say, the buying to Uniswap, you will not have so big advantage. In the sense, if the flow is that the user enters to your application, he clicks a button and a transaction is triggered that it buys like under the scenes from, I don't know, from Uniswap, SushiSwap, Balancer, wherever. It buys 5 tokens. Instead, if you, for example, have a tokenization on top, on your side, on your contract, and you do like batches of acquiring tokens, I think it could be cheaper. Like if for your users, it's not a high requirement that they buy the token right now at this price, but it's more like, I want to invest value of $1,000 in a set of 5 tokens. You can buy in one transaction like a certain amount of tokens, and then the users just go to your contract and take part of those tokens, but they already don't need to swap in Uniswap or anything. You know,
How is
they are
it
just
called? Excuse me. How was the feature that you're talking about?
there is no name of the feature. That is the objective, I suppose. No, I'm saying that the cost comes when you need to swap tokens immediately. Like when you need to you go with 10 USDC and you want to buy, imagine, Aave token from Uniswap, no? There is the cost. But if you buy in batch, like 1,000 in value of Aave tokens, and then people just comes over time with 10, and takes from your contract, you already don't need. Of course, you need to have some pricing, and maybe it's a bit more complicated, but I don't know. It's a good idea to explore, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, in the scope of this hackathon, I think this is doable and pretty simple. And of course, there can be a lot of improvements, maybe scheduling also. Scheduling the action of buying is at a low gas price can be also something. But okay, anyway, so this was my question or my participation. Thank you for listening to me, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next up is Benson. Do you want to share, Benson?
Oh, sure. Hi, guys. Can you hear me? Yep. Great. I was thinking of an idea. I guess it's insurance. I guess you've had 2 insurance ideas earlier. This one was more of like life insurance. Being able to maybe sell, maybe it could be short term, could be 1 year, 2 year type life insurance to anyone. And basically, people who use Aave, depositors, could borrow against their assets in Aave. And basically, the insurance part of it, they would become like almost like the reinsurers. They would buy small chunks of that insurance. So let's say if you had 3 clients, let's say, and if they bought $9,000 worth of insurance, you could tokenize it to like $1 tokens, and then depositors of Aave could then borrow against their deposits and buy any number of those tokens. And of course, you know, let's say you could have like 9,000 investors. So in a way, it almost like becomes like they become the reinsurers. And of course, if no one dies, you know, they get whatever money is collected from the pool. Let's say it's done annually, possibly, or it could be done monthly. They get to share in you know, in a pro rata type way. It's averaged out to the investors, and that way they get additional interest on their borrowed funds. So they're able to use their current assets to, I guess, get interest on, you know, in Aave, and then also borrow against that and invest in something else and get additional interest in it. That was sort of what I was thinking.
Yeah, very cool. I'm not too well versed in insurance, but I don't know, maybe Stanley or Jordan or Mark, you guys, I think, maybe know a bit more about this area.
Yeah, I think the project is very nice as well. Like there is definitely something with the reinsurers that is interesting. Like maybe everything can be done like within the same. Like maybe there is even ways to simplify. Like we just said, I just need to think a bit more about it. But yeah, it's a cool idea as well. Maybe someone from the more technical side has ideas.
Yeah, I only thought about it last night. So, you know, I kind of sketched it out a little bit, you know, in terms of what the cash flows could be like.
Yeah, the idea seems cool. I think we can catch up later, like with following maybe brainstorming when the idea will be more refined technically.
Okay.
That would be better. But the baseline idea, I think, is pretty interesting.
Thanks.
It's really good that a lot of people are working on insurance products as well. I think that's a really good area. There's a lot of the design space there is quite large, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Plus, it brings in like additional capital into the system, I guess.
Trent, you're muted again.
Anybody else have some feedback? If not,
yeah, I mean, like
go ahead.
one thinking like I mean, definitely insurance is interesting, and especially kind of like what kind of ideas there could be, and many of the insurances like this kind of like pool model. What's exciting there is that people can take different kinds of risk. You know, you could let others to insure you, you know, completely, and they get less yield. Those who are receiving the insurance, and play with this functionality that you have a group of people and pooled system. So I think there is a lot of solutions out there, and even if you look at traditional insurance space, or let's say like there isn't that much innovation in even like in fintech space. So I think probably like we'll see interesting stuff. So it was quite an interesting idea.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Benson.
All right. Thank you very much.
We're going to move on to the next person. I think we skipped over a few people up in the chat who couldn't raise their hands, so I'll just do that manually. I think Gawain, tell me if I'm pronouncing that right, but if you want to share what you got.
Yep. So I'm Gawain. I am currently right now I have a team of 4 right now, for sure, possibly 5, but the idea is actually around the music space, and it has to do with brands and independent creators connecting directly through tokenization. The platform would basically consist of different Aave use cases, like creator advances, obviously probably maybe taking advantage of the flash loans, and then also staking incentives for brands, because obviously we want to attract brands. So what's one of the best ways besides just creative talent, obviously, is money. So they can partake in staking incentives as well on the platform. And the idea is to be able to distribute these staking incentives or staking to different creators as well, kind of opening up the space for additional projects they may want to do or whatnot, or you know, whatever the case may be in that.
Awesome. So it would be like the basic is like a platform to bring artists and brand together, right?
Or not necessarily just artists. The platform has both video and audio. So let's say you're a director or something and you have an idea to pitch a TV show. Well, you would want to connect with a brand that could maybe stream your TV show, you know, pull you on or whatnot. So
awesome. Yeah, I think that there is a lot of things like that can be done even like in terms of payments. Like people can be paid in A tokens, so they have like interest accruing tokens in the payment. Like definitely something interesting for me as well. Would love to brainstorm a bit more, like once I get a bit more details and to see like how we can be with Aave and everything. But yeah,
sure, absolutely,
nice one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Jordan. By the way, Jordan and myself, we used to DJ. So I have a musical background. so we love that sort of idea.
I need to.
That's neat. Yeah, I was a producer for about, I've been in the music industry for about, I want to say about 19 years or so. So.
Awesome.
And I am a drummer, so.
I think we
We're
could
all
do
musicians.
a MarketMake party with the band and everything.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, but great idea. I think just let us know how we can help or how we can work together. I think the obvious one is the staking and depositing assets.
Yeah.
But probably need some more details to try and brainstorm on some other interesting use cases around that.
Not a problem.
Yeah, pretty cool, and it's especially kind of like taking advantage of like financial protocol and bringing it into a very interesting space is super exciting. Like the traditional creative world in music is in so many ways broken. So there's there's a bunch of things you could do, and yeah, I mean this sounds awesome.
Thanks.
Great, we've got about 10 minutes left, so we're going to try and get through at least a few more hackers. Before I forget, I'll just go through some of the logistics. So tomorrow is the kickoff. Stani will be there. Hopefully a bunch of the Aave team will be there as well. And obviously we want to see the hackers there. This is going to be a general introduction to, what you can expect or what the expectations are for you as a hacker, the guidelines for the event, the rules. We'll hear from sponsors about what their specific prizes are. And if you can make it, we'd love to have you. So that's tomorrow at 12 Eastern, so noon. It'll be about in 2 hours, I think we have scheduled for it. And the big event is Stani is going to be having a conversation with Anthony Pompliano, or the Pomp, if you know him from crypto Twitter. Definitely a big voice in the Bitcoin community. So we're interested to hear what their conversation is going to be. So again, tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern. You should have received a calendar invite, but if not, it'll be streaming on the ETHGlobal YouTube channel, and then obviously live.ethglobal.co. So make sure to show up for that tomorrow, and it's going to be a really interesting conversation, I'm sure. Last few bits of housekeeping would be, if you do have team members who haven't staked or are in some sort of they're in limbo, please reach out as soon as possible. We want to get everybody onboarded and ready to go for hacking to start after kickoff tomorrow. So reach out to an ETHGlobal team member as soon as possible. So that would be today, in the next few hours, so we can get everybody processed and ready to go for hacking to start this weekend. I think that's it. Ave, do you guys have any logistical things you want to cover before we hit a few more people? If not, just give me a thumbs up. Cool. All right, so we're going to try and hit a few more hackers. And Luis, I think you were next in the chat. So why don't you go ahead and give a short summary of your project. And anybody we don't get to, write down your idea, share it in the Discord, and somebody from the Aave team or the ETHGlobal team will be sure to respond. So just because you don't get to share it here doesn't mean we won't give you feedback. So go ahead, Luis, take it away.
Thank you, Trent. Basically, the idea is based around sports, payment network for athletes, ranging from college athletes to professional athletes. Universities can host nodes or oracles, so can stadiums. Use cases can be for scholarships for college athletes, and for professional athletes, they could range from X percentage of revenue of ticket sales or jersey sales, governing tokens as well. In the example of the NFL, there's 32 teams, could do 32 representatives from each team that dictate what percentage they're going to receive from either ticket sales or jersey sales or any other factors that is integrated into the payment. But that's pretty much it. It's not built or anything. It's just an idea as of now. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so this is some sort of, you're automating the back end for these large franchise agreements, something like that, right? And then adding a little bit of governance in.
Mm-hmm. And I think the value lies in college athletes and giving them a voice and financial independence and giving them access to the money. And through this, they could be able to, whatever money they make on the platform, either stake it or invest it back into whatever they want.
So you would be paying college athletes as well?
With the idea would be that universities would also work on this, and they would pay the athletes through scholarships, but they could also earn money through the ticket sales of their games or jersey sales or any other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the really unfortunate things about college sports is that I know, at least in the US, college athletes, they can't make any income, or they're just, they bring a lot of revenue from playing, but they actually don't get paid other than scholarships. Even, I don't even think they can do like sponsored like clothing or any sort of sponsorship deals. So it's a pretty shitty deal for them, because they're doing tons of work and bringing revenue into the school, but they can't benefit from the upside. So this is like a big problem. I know it's been talked about for many years. If anything, it's a really interesting new approach to something that I don't think has seen really much innovation in quite a while.
Thank you for the feedback. If anybody else wants to, I'd be happy to hear you.
Sounds like a cool idea. I don't know much about college or US college sports, but just from what Trent said, maybe one way would be, if the colleges are paying into some fund, which get deposited on Aave, and they earn interest, then maybe instead of the college athletes getting paid out straight away, maybe it goes to some time lock contract. So they're technically not getting paid. But maybe in 4 years' time, 5 years' time, when they finish college, they get access to some funds. Or maybe even they just, instead of getting paid, they get some of the governance power, right? So they don't get paid in the underlying like fiat currency, but they get minted some gov tokens of some sort. And they can use that as to show, do some voting or show what however they want to govern inside their organization.
Cool. Yeah, great idea. I'm looking forward to seeing more. You write about it a little bit more and see the project progress. We're going to move on really quickly to the next people, and hopefully we can get through them. Keita, do you want to share really quickly what you're working on?
It kind of seems like my idea's kind of been taken a little bit, but it was something related to music. I mean, just to preface, I'm a beginner, so I figured it was kind of lofty, but like the idea was to create some sort of token that you could invest capital into a musician's projects in. But I had the concern that people with capital would get to have a lot of sway over the musician's creative decisions. So I wanted to implement some sort of mechanism to, I guess, potentially balance that with, I don't know, say how much you listen to the artist or how long you've held the token, to just kind of balance out like having a massive amount of money versus having a lot of being invested into a musician in a different way, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah, no. So big general comment is, even if somebody's doing the same idea as you, well, the first thing is you can see if they want to partner, if they have space on their team, or you want them to join yours. There's no problem with combining forces if you think there's some synergy or you guys can team up. The second thing is, even if you don't team up or you have a similar idea, you guys are all going to come up with different solutions to the same problem. So don't be worried about pursuing similar ideas just because it's similar. But yeah, I think what you're going for is interesting. You said you're a beginner, so maybe one of the suggestions I'd have you look at is Audius. They're kind of one of the bigger companies, and they're doing some interesting stuff with, building a community of musicians, and they're really picking up recently. So look into them if you haven't already.
What was it?
Audius, Audius.
Speaking of Audius, actually, Jordan dropped a tune there last
thank
week.
you.
I recommend to listen it. It's home on audios.
I think maybe with all these DJs in here, we should get a music channel going and have some DJ sessions in the Discord. That'd be great.
We're preparing for it, Bogota.
Exactly. Cool, Keita, thanks for sharing. We've got 2 minutes left, so we're gonna go really quick through the last two I see here. Habakkuk, do you want to share?
Hi, everyone. I'm Habakkuk from Mexico, from Zenbit. We are in a startup and we are developing an experimental game to teach new users how to use basic interaction on Ethereum, like sync transactions, burn tokens or transfer tokens. So we in the game we have some NFTs that let users to accomplish some actions inside the game. But we are thinking to implement some DeFi NFTs, like to teach some basic interactions to users for, I'm interested in credit delegation or lending function from Aave protocol. But thinking on the user experience, as many have said, the gas fees are something that I think is a problem to, especially for new users. And so I'm thinking in giving the players, especially for Mexican players, that a gasless NFT that let probably users use the NFT to pay the gas fees inside the game or for further interactions or for other contracts, protocols, I mean. But basically, we are making a game to teach new users how to use Ethereum interactions, focus on Mexican users especially.
I think that's awesome. Onboarding is a huge challenge, you know, especially in high gas fees. So if any and all unique solutions I'm really curious to see how people approach this differently. So cool. I'm looking forward to what you come up with.
One thing I just want to add to this, in our docs for Aave V2, all our A tokens have a permit function. So that allows gasless token transfers, which essentially means you sign something, submit it, and someone else will conduct that transaction for you. So that might be relevant and a way to make it cheaper for your users. And some other things I've seen with these sort of learning platforms is one way is have them pay up front to try the learning platform, sort of staking it, and then when they complete the course, then they get that money back. But if you deposit it in Aave, then that means they get more money than they started with. So maybe that will cover some of the transaction costs, depending on how long the game is.
Good. On that part, on the lending part, I've been thinking on probably open a vault on Aave that could be linked to some NFTs that let users to probably use the NFT as collateral for lending, and us as a provider of service absorb that cost for the new user. Like, for example, small loans that could be achieved for new users. Probably use the NFT as a collateral for those of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't have like NFT as collateral at the moment on Aave. If you wanted to build something, that's probably another product that you could also look into building, is like a somehow valuing NFTs, then allowing them to, borrow money. But that's more of a whole lending, NFT lending platform.
Good. But in general, I appreciate the session because there are a lot of good ideas to implement, and especially for the Aave protocol.
Thanks. Good stuff.
Great. And we are going to really quickly move on to the last one. Kenneth, if you are able to share real quick what you're working on.
Yes, I am working on utilizing Aave within the oil and gas industry, as well as logistics with the transportation of 18-wheelers for Aave.
Can you be more specific about what it is you're integrating with Aave?
Yes, it'll be for oil and gas transportation of crude oil within the oil industry is what I'm really looking at. And there's several ways to go about it. And it's such a broad field in utilizing blockchain and bringing it into oil and gas and utilizing Aave within the sector of oil and gas. So that's what I've been working on, and open to any suggestions would be great.
Is there like a is there practically that you're looking now for an idea that and then you know that you want to improve that industry with somehow with decentralized finance or Ethereum, and practically you need some kind of idea to get things started?
Yes, I have a couple of ideas I've been pondering on as well, such as for payments within the oil and gas industry when it comes to the oil itself and the crude oil itself, and how they pay for the third party gets paid by the company itself, and situations to it's such a broad perspective and within oil and gas itself, and there's so many things that you can do in regards to payments, and I'm just open for any ideas that you may have to offer to me would be great.
Yeah, I think we've heard a couple other people talk about you know, these really big legacy industries like the music industry or sports, and there's just huge potential for all of them. And I think that something like oil and gas, there's like all of these legacy industries that are running on traditional payment infrastructure. There's always an opportunity to insert a little bit of DeFi into all of them where it makes sense. Whether it's, you know, just improving the payments infrastructure. I know there's some projects who are looking at like tokenizing invoices. I'm sure the oil and gas industry works on a similar system of invoices that are paid after a certain date, and then contractors are not able to have any liquidity for work that they've already done or exiting with their funds. So maybe that's something to look at there. If anybody else has other suggestions, even something like having contracts in ADI or AUSDC brings a little bit of DeFi into this older industry.
Yeah, but besides what Trent's already said, I mean, you know, I guess you would be the expert in the oil and gas industry, Kenneth. So feel free to jump on Discord and discuss it with us there. You can also post, like you should know the problems in the industry, and then maybe we can help you brainstorm on how to solve those problems. Because, you know, personally, I don't know anything about trucking or industry. So yeah, if you sort of come with some problems and we can discuss on Discord, I think that would be the best way.
Yeah, that would be great. I really appreciate everything that y'all have shared with me today throughout the call, and I've had the opportunity to learn so much from all the questions and the responses y'all have given. So I'm very grateful for everything that I've learned today. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Kenneth. Okay, we're gonna wrap here. Sorry if we bumped into anybody else's meetings, but thank you for sticking around. And this has been a really productive session. I saw some really cool ideas, and I'm excited to see all of them develop really. over the next few weeks, and it's the submission at the early February. So thanks again for everybody coming. Reminder that tomorrow is the kickoff. Please show up if you're available or just listen in. We're going to be going over the hackathon structure, logistics, the rest of the sponsor prizes, and then the main event. The title event is Stani and Pomp having a conversation about DeFi in the current world context and what happens next. So don't miss that. What's that?
Sorry, is there like a recording of it? Because it's like right during my classes.
Yep. Yeah. Almost everything we do at hackathons is recorded, and it'll end up on the ETHGlobal YouTube channel. So don't worry about missing something.
Awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, thanks again for everybody coming to this session. We're going to be doing something similar every week. So next week will be an idea validation is what we call it, where you come with hopefully something that's a little more, scoped out. And then in the weeks afterwards, we're going to also be doing feedback and demo sessions. So these will be happening weekly, and I hope to see you all there. We're going to sign off here.
I had a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry. It'll be the same time, same place?
We may adjust the time, but it'll likely be on Thursday. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ave Team, for the great feedback. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.